Get ready with me while we talk about Hunter Biden. For those who don't know, my name is Ashley St. Clair, and I was a MAGA influencer involved in MAGA politics for almost a decade. I know. I also want to do an open call out to brands who would like to collaborate and have the profits go to an organization such as the Trevor Project or some other organization that will be helpful to the communities that my rhetoric contributed harm to, because while I am not done apologizing, I would like to go from apologizing to making amends. So this is an open call to any brand that would wish to collaborate. Now today, I'm going to talk about something that is going to be rather unpopular among many people, especially some of the newer left-wing audience that is watching. Today, we are going to be talking about Hunter Biden, because I do think I am well positioned to speak on the topic of deadbeat fathers for no other reason than my work as a political scientist and my research on controlling for the variables of kids in single mother households when you control for poverty, right? That's the reason. Now, some may say I am the last person who should be critiquing a redemption tour. Or maybe I'm the best person to do it. We'll let the public decide. Hunter has been making the rounds with, admittedly, amazing comeback tweets, primarily on Twitter, in which he is finally, in his own words, speaking for himself. You know, the public has gone out and said many, many things about him. They tried using this as some sort of election gotcha against his father, the infamous laptop, and Hunter's own struggles with addiction. And he is finally clapping back, and honestly, he sounds really good. Like the introspection he appears to have when he's speaking about addiction and his own harms is compelling, and a lot of his tweets are pretty fucking funny. However, there is one aspect of this Hunter Biden arc and redemption tour that is going rather unnoticed and is concerning to me, and that is London Roberts. For those unfamiliar, London Roberts was the midnight ballerina who knew Hunter and had many interactions and late nights with Hunter, and ended up becoming pregnant with one of Hunter's children at the height of his addiction. Now, London has been very public with her story and incredibly empathetic towards Hunter. I mean, she is a better woman than I am, I will tell you that, because she is very, very kind and empathetic to his struggles, and, you know, says she sees the good traits in Hunter in her daughter, who is now 7, her little daughter Navy. But this was quite the struggle, okay? Because when she first met Hunter, he was supportive. He said that he would be there and, you know, all of this stuff. And then that changed very quickly. Miss London Roberts was then left alone and unsupported, and then Hunter decided to switch up and deny paternity for some unknown reason, and she was alone at an incredibly vulnerable time. This put her in a rather dark place, and as someone who can speak to the experience of being pregnant and then seeing this individual and their family all over the news, she was really fucking going through it, okay? And still, even in this, she had so much empathy for the heart that she saw in Hunter, that she was like, I don't want to, what do I do? I don't want this to be a scandal because his dad and the presidency and the election and all of this stuff. But she eventually has to sue for paternity because he just kind of drops off the face of the earth, now decides that he's not going to claim this child. And for those unfamiliar, you cannot get any support for a child unless paternity is established. So if you want support for a child, the first step is establishing paternity, which she ended up having to do, and wow, lo and behold, the child was indeed Hunter's. London even has her own memoir and has done a series of interviews in which she talks about moments where she knew Hunter at the height of his addiction and how scary certain moments were. There was one moment where she was unsure if he was going to make it, and she is struggling with the fact that, oh my God, if I call an ambulance, this is going to be a national scandal for him and his family. Like, I don't want to do that, but also if I don't call an ambulance, then like this is on me. What do I do? And from her interviews, it is very obvious that she did and still does have a lot of care and love for Hunter. Now, eventually, Hunter settles and he's paying her $20,000 a month in child support. Okay, which, that seems like a lot, but that is like the same amount that P. Diddy was ordered to pay like a decade ago, all right? So it's not really all that crazy in this situation, and so many people do not consider, like, a child like that needs security and all these other accommodations, what have you. So many people see those numbers and they're like, oh wow, she should be happy with that. But eventually this ends up getting reduced. She agrees to have it reduced to $5,000 a month because Hunter says that he will give the child some of his paintings, which he claims hold some monetary value, whatever. And despite not having a relationship, eventually Hunter starts calling Little Navy, and it starts out once a month, and then he's calling once a week, multiple times a week. He's even calling before her t-ball games and hyping her up, and she is just ecstatic. She's like, oh, daddy, like, I want to see you sometime. And he's like playing into this. He's like, maybe I'll come see you soon. He doesn't, by the way. Okay. And then I don't know if Hunter gets upset about the media that London is doing, which whatever, because she's being incredibly favorable to him given the circumstances. Also apologies for the construction. But he just drops off the face of the planet, stops calling the child. The child now had some sort of relationship with her father and now has none. And this is devastating for a 6-year-old, 7-year-old little girl. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And so, she's confused. At one point, London's daughter, this little girl, says, I can't wait to get to heaven because then maybe I'll get to meet my daddy and I'll get to be with him. And dude, you can get on a fucking plane to Arkansas and see this fucking child. Like, what's wrong with you? And London is going out of her way to, like, make sure that her daughter, like, knows the connection and where she comes from. At one point she buys, I think Jill Biden, like, made a children's book, and she buys it to read to Navy. And then she just, like, she had to read this, and then she sees that Jill put a dedication to her grandchildren in the book and excludes Navy. And so this woman is like really going through it and trying to figure out how to navigate this situation. And Hunter's just not interacting. He's not giving her any closure. He's in fact, she's going back to court early this year. This year she goes back to court and is like, please help, because he established some sort of relationship with our daughter and now he's just like dropped off the face of the planet. And do you know what Hunter's attorneys argued? They argued that he is under no obligation to maintain a relationship with this child. Now, even if we are to stipulate, because I am familiar with men like Hunter, that, oh, maybe he's mad that she did a memoir. Maybe she's mad that she's telling her story. But Hunter, you are online saying, now finally you're going to say your story in your own words. And London has that right too. Okay, she went through a lot with you, and she has a right to tell her story as well. And it doesn't matter what you think of her telling the story. that should not impact you being there for this child, okay? There should be no world in which you're spending more time with Twitter and tweets and Candace Owens. You had the time to fly to Nashville to sit down with Candace Owens, yet you can't fly to Arkansas and see your daughter who's like begging to know her daddy. And I want to be clear, I think Hunter is speaking about really important issues. I think him calling out the hypocrisy of the Trump children and the Trump family and what's going on is a net good. That is a good thing. However, if you are going to market yourself as being recovered and going on this amends tour, how the fuck are you going to ignore your baby girl? Like, what is wrong with you? And at the end of the day, London deserves closure. Once I went down this rabbit hole, because when I started seeing some of the stuff that Hunter was saying, I was like, damn, like, he's going hard. I like this. But then at the same time, I was like, let me not get into the habits of old Ashley, in which I just like someone or support them because they are owning the shit out of my enemies, okay? So then I start digging into this London Roberts situation, and it's not good at all. It's not good. And whatever you say, oh, maybe she just wants money, maybe she just wants this, whatever it is, that has nothing to do with the child and the relationship that you should have with this child, okay? And like, from the bottom of my heart, I am so proud of Hunter for going through this process of owning his addiction and owning up to the recovery and making public amends. But if you take anything from this, like, make amends with that situation. Go see your daughter. Make sure that you're not spending more time on Twitter than you are with your child, because you just kind of dropped off the face of the planet and then are arguing to the court that you're under no obligation to maintain a relationship with that child. And that child's going to see that. That child's going to see that they're excluded from these things. That child's going to see that while you're sending $5,000 a month and she lives a very different lifestyle than your other children and the other people in the family, you're doing, vacations in Nantucket. That is not right, Hunter. And so, I don't know. Like, I know recovery is a long process, and I know redemption is a long process, okay? I know that better than anybody. But we cannot ignore the stories of women and children and how these men treat them, okay? Because these are some of the most vulnerable people within our populations. Like, that little girl, and then you read the stories and hear that she's defending her dad to bullies. And even London's dad, who is a Trump supporter, is like, no, we are not going to talk poorly about Hunter, in their little town in Arkansas. And so they really could not ask for them being more amenable. And like, what is the big issue? Does it come down to they think you should be paying more for the child, or they think that you should have more of a relationship than you do with this child? That seems pretty fucking fair. And I have no idea why these men think that psychopathy is a sufficient response to anything regarding child support or holding men accountable or using the laws within place to get what you feel your child deserves. Because I am just seeing a lot of people who are like, wow, I love Hunter. There are women like romanticizing him, and that's fine, but Hunter should also be aware of how this stuff and this public discourse is going to affect London and his daughter, Neve. I know I think about this too, like when I see people who are supportive of me, and I'm like, how is this going to impact the communities that are still angry at me, or, that I harmed? And just fucking call your daughter. Who cares? Whatever your relationship is with London, like, call your daughter. You can even do a stipulation. It's not hard to do a stipulation saying that, you know, oh, if we call or visit, that's not to be publicized. Like, come on. But at the end of the day, it is also London's story to tell. You took this woman who was just a dancer at a club, got her pregnant, and because of you and who you are, she was at the epicenter of a national scandal. Okay? And, you know, so yeah, you are going to be a large part of her story. And she has a right to say it as much as you do. And part of coming to terms with your addiction is also realizing how it hurt other people. The stories that London tells of, you know, not knowing if you were going to make it some days that's her story too, Hunter. And so I don't know, hopefully this message reaches him and it hits him, but like, he was on the phone with this little girl, hyping her up before her t-ball practice and saying like, maybe I'll come see you soon, like that, and then you just drop off the face of the planet. Like, that is so devastating to a little girl, and like, you should be making amends for that behavior. You should be ashamed of that behavior. And I don't know. And maybe part of it's like me being angry. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad about like tweeting harmful rhetoric and being involved in the things that I was. And this guy, like, literally abandoned his child, does not talk to her at all, literally argues to the court that he's under no obligation to have a relationship with this sweet little girl. And everyone's like, ah, yeah, Hunter's getting MAGA. Like, what the fuck, guys? Like, maybe at the very least it can be like, oh, thank you, Hunter, for finally putting this oppo that you created for half of the Democrat Party and your father, the Democratic Party and your father, like, to rest and coming out and, you know, kicking back. But, like, also, dude, you should not be spending more time with Candace Owens and getting on flights to see Candace Owens and not your little girl. And mind you, this is like happening simultaneously with the discourse around Graham Plattner, the progressive candidate out of Maine. And, you know, people are all up on Graham Plattner. I'm not even going to comment on that matter. But, like, they just want to hold Graham Plattner's feet to the fire because of this New York Times piece and these allegations coming out. And these same people are like, Hunter Biden's fucking awesome, while he's ignoring a little girl who has some relationship with him and knows that he's her dad. Like, what the fuck are we doing, guys? Like, can we fight for this little girl? Please? Or like, at least do yourself a favor and watch the 60 Minutes interview from like 4 months ago with London Roberts is actually really good. And when you listen to her, like, she holds a degree of compassion and empathy for Hunter. And Hunter, she deserves closure there. It really seems like there's so much regarding her situation and what she went through while she was pregnant and having this child that you've not offered her closure on, and I think that you should. And I posted about this a little bit on my Instagram stories, and there were people who like, well, it's a family private matter, blah, blah, blah. No, you know, I don't think men's treatment of women and their children should just be, you know, we should just accept that it's in the best interest of the child that this remain behind closed doors. No, because all of his other children are publicly accepted and acknowledged by the Biden family. Also, we did a shadow liner and some sparkly eyeshadow. But I also, there's a gap in filming here because I just got some really, really good news. Okay, so anyways, yeah, the Hunter Biden situation, I hope Hunter's like on an honest journey. And again, like, I know how people are gonna perceive me critiquing anyone's redemption story, but maybe because of my own personal experiences and fields of research, I can't help but think of London and Navy, and I hope that Hunter does the right thing and makes amends in regards to his child as well. Like, embrace this child and let her know that she has a dad. Even if you hate the mother, even if you don't like that the mother's yapping, like, that little girl is half of you, and she knows that she's half of you, and show her the good parts of you, okay? Make sure that you're not spending more time on Twitter than you are with your daughter, okay? And again, I feel for her. I know how hard it can be to have a child with someone who's like in the public eye, and how do you explain certain things to them. And at least from me watching her interviews, she seems genuine. She seems like she genuinely just wants her daughter to have a sense of identity and know her dad. So, anyways. Also, we're gonna do this. I also have the One Size setting spray with the sunscreen on the way because I really, really want to try that. And Hunter, keep holding these people to account. Keep helping people. I think the things that you're saying about addiction and recovery and the double standards, that's all really, really good stuff. But make sure that while you're on this journey and you're being honest about everything, that you also make sure that your daughter, when she has access to the internet, that she knows you're making amends for her as well. Get ready with me while I talk about the entire world finding out I had a secret baby with Elon Musk. For those who don't know, my name is Ashley St. Clair. I was a MAGA influencer involved in MAGA politics for almost a decade. I know. Now, I had to take a break because, first of all, I've never spoken about so much of this publicly, and it's just a lot. There's a lot of trauma. There's a lot of guilt from myself, from my own actions. There's a lot of feedback coming from all of these various inputs on the left, on the right, all of these people reaching out. And I want to make sure that I don't get involved in the same negative feedback loops or even positive feedback loops that ended up being harmful that I was involved in when I first got involved in MAGA politics. So I've been taking a break, and there's also the safety situation with my family is still ongoing. These people who are harassing my family are still outside of my home. They are coming to near my children's school. It's a lot, okay? So I need a break. And when I need one, I'm going to take one. But I do appreciate everyone reaching out and seeing if I'm okay. If you haven't already, I suggest that you catch up in the playlist, particularly on the Women of Mar-a-Lago videos and the entire relationship with Elon saga, because some of these characters are going to be reintroduced. So today I'm going to be trying the Forever Skin Glow by Dior because I had to exchange some things at Sephora and they wouldn't let me do a full exchange, so I had to, whatever. We're going to be trying this today. Also, a quick update on the Marcavius Rumpf case. Thank you to everyone who brought attention. There has been an arrest made, but they are still looking to get more information. So if you can, please keep the pressure on to the case in Alabama for Marcavius Rumpf. Now, when we last spoke, we were discussing the election, the timeline around the 2024 election, Elon's weird-ass texts about space lasers and data that he had that, in my opinion, he shouldn't have had. Now, this time around the election was really weird for me. I was a registered independent, but it was just, there was a lot of conflicting feelings. It's like, oh, you know, we won, and you have all of these people around you who are making it like this is a good thing for the country, and we won, we won, we won. And simultaneously, I'm surrounded by people that are really just making me question, like, what the fuck am I involved in? What the fuck have we done? And one of those people is a woman mentioned in my Mar-a-Lago, the Women of Mar-a-Lago series, Ozempi. Okay? Now, Ozempi, this was a very bad choice on my part, but Ozempi was, for a while, a close friend of mine. She is like 20 years older than me, so I viewed her as like this big sister type in the movement. She was fucking my former boss. Like, she just knew things that other people didn't. I don't know. I honestly don't know why I was so close to her, but I was. And she was one of the people that I unfortunately decided to disclose my relationship and subsequent pregnancy with Elon to, okay? And there would be many times that people around her all of a sudden knew about this situation, or there would be times I needed to call her and talk to her about something, and I would be mentioning like sensitive things, and she would be like, oh, you're on speaker with, you know, this person, and this person. I'm like, oh my God, like, I didn't want these people to know. Whatever. So she basically told anyone who would listen, and I had many conversations with her, like, hey, like, this is private, I really don't need the scrutiny and everything that's gonna come from this, like, I just want to keep my family safe, like, please stop doing this. And she didn't, okay? She ends up telling AA, okay? The alcoholic, recovering addict that runs around the White House in Mar-a-Lago. And it just made me so uncomfortable because we would be at events and AA, this woman who has a bunch of problems and now works at the White House, was like, come on, you need to let her in. This is Elon's girlfriend, all of this stuff. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, please stop this, please stop this. And it just got out of hand. Simultaneously, Ozempi had a wonderful husband, okay? And I am the last person to defend a man, but she really had a wonderful husband who is a great dad. She had a beautiful son. They lived in Jupiter. And this woman, around the time of the election, like shortly before, she meets a very powerful individual who is like one of the right-hand man of Trump. He's one of the people who's been there the longest, and she basically sees this as her ticket to like access and power. You know, Ozempi is obsessed with going to Mar-a-Lago and having access and social climbing. And so she basically, mind you, this woman is like championing this administration that is like taking away reproductive rights for so many people. And she had an abortion like around this time, by the way. I don't really care. If you people are going to take away rights from other people, like, I'm going to dox your abortions. Don't care. So she meets this guy, and she's basically like, I can see in her eyes, she's like, I'm going to leave my husband. I'm going to leave my husband. I'm going to abandon my kid. And so this causes me, combined with obviously all of this other stuff that I'm seeing with Elon and the admin and just things that are making me uncomfortable, I am like, why am I surrounded by these people? Like, am I like these people? Like, do they think I'm like them? Am I acting like them? And I just like kind of had a real crisis of identity. I was like, I don't want to be anything like these people. I started, obviously, at this point, I'm being surrounded by more like wealthy capitalist circles and people with money. And I'm just coming to the conclusion that I don't like rich people. Like, I think rich people are fucking weird. I think they're completely disconnected from reality. I don't know. I don't know if it's because I'm like, my family comes from like a working class background, and like there were times that we were on public assistance, and you know, obviously my family does well now, but it just, the whole lifestyle, the whole thing just started to make me really, really uncomfortable, and just started questioning my own decisions a lot. Mind you, in September, I give birth to my second son, and I give birth alone with my mom in the delivery room, and like, things start just getting weird. There had never previously been any like conversation really about privacy or secrecy, really, until like up till I gave birth. Like, for example, Elon and I had this mutual friend who had this wedding in Rome, and Elon was texting me. He's like, because he was invited to it as well, and he's like, oh, I'll be your date to the wedding. Like, are you going? Yada, yada, who. I'm like, okay, whatever. And then when I give birth, this mutual friend messages him and is like, oh, you know, congrats. And he flips the fuck out and starts messaging me frantically. He's like, if anybody knows, like, everyone's gonna die. Like, just like psychotic stuff. He's like, I'm, you know, nobody can know, just crazy stuff. I literally just gave birth, like, literally just popped this child out. And again, like, previously, like, what do you, like, it was just so shocking and weird, because a couple months prior, he's like, oh, I'll be your date to her wedding. I was 8 months pregnant. What the fuck are you talking about? 7 months, whatever. So it was just, like, very weird, and I just could not help but feel like I was starting to be pressured while I was in a very vulnerable spot. And there are certain aspects of this, like, I can't talk about because of certain matters, at least not right now. Hopefully I will be able to talk about them eventually, but so then I'm 2 months postpartum, 2 months, right? And in December, Jared Burchell, the fucking demon who runs, who's like the money manager for Elon, he's basically Elon's henchman, okay? This guy like hired a con man to harass and be an investigator during the whole like PDF file scandal when Elon like was tweeting allegedly defamatory things at that cave diver. I don't know. But Jared Burchell is a piece of shit and a very horrible human being. And so Jared, I am postpartum, okay? This is the most vulnerable time for a woman. And this fucking sack of shit sends me a $40 million NDA over disappearing, NDA and non-disparagement, okay? Like, into eternity. There's not really, like, any protections for like me or my family. Like, it is literally, it's like pretty fucking one-sided. It's insane. There's like this forfeiture clause. It's nuts. And it's sent over disappearing signal messages, even though Jared is aware that I have counsel. And he sends me this fucking insane contract and tries pressuring me into this. He has this very long 2-hour phone call with me where he basically tries like digging up any dirt on me. He tells me that all the other women have signed and yada yada. It's really fucked up, and there's a larger project happening where this is discussed more in length, but it was really fucked up. And so my decision to not sign this was rather quick, okay? It was within a few hours that I told Jared I can't in good conscience sign this. I had told him like, hey, I don't care. I'd rather have nothing with my kids than sign this. I can't do it. And because in my head, someone who's that consequential, like, I did not just have a kid with Joe Schmo. This is not like an NDA with Joe Schmo, even which, like, I don't, there's reasons to not sign the NDAs with Joe Schmo either, but like, this individual is one of the most consequential figures in the world. I'm not signing anything where I can never, ever, ever, ever speak out against them. Like, that's not in the best interest for my children, for myself, or for the rest of the world. Like, that's fucking crazy. I'm not doing that. And so it's been, I wish there was more I could say, because there's so much that I want to say, but I had to make a choice then. I had to make a choice because I knew when I told Elon no, when I told this man no, it was, sorry, there's powder. It was gonna be as if I had never told him yes, and sure enough, like, that was the case. Things just, it was not good. Simultaneously, there's a million people who are already speculating that I've had a child because I, like, disappeared. I got kind of bigger for a while. And also, like, the man who's most publicly interacting with me has a fucking harem, so everyone's like, oh, I bet she's an Elon baby mama. At one point, I was like 6 months pregnant, and I had a handyman come and build a crib for my incoming son, and he was like, the handyman, who I don't know from fucking Adam, is like, oh, I saw, like, Elon Musk responding to you, like, that's so cool. And it was just, like, constant, it was really, like, psychologically tormenting. Like, sorry, I couldn't do it. I can't, like, keep a secret that big. Sorry, like, that's just fucking insane. People were asking questions. Like, at one point, like, Tucker Carlson's producer was calling my boss and asking, like, it was just fucking insane. Okay, it was, and whatever. If people want to blame me for, like, some of my friends knowing, or fucking Ozempi, who's now married to that fat fuck at the White House, saying things, whatever. However, once it came to the point that journalists were showing up at the offices of my family, they were physically confronting people in my life, they were calling my neighbors, okay? To the point that one of my neighbors stops me in the hall one day and he's like, hey, when you get a second, can we chat? And I had never spoken to this neighbor in my life. And he pulls me into his house. He's like, you and I could not be more opposed politically. I didn't even know who you were until this, this outlet reached out to me, this journalist reached out to me, but it made me really uncomfortable. They were asking if I've seen a baby. They were asking about your other child. And, like, I just feel like I have to tell you. And they were asking about Elon. And so at this point, I'm like, I'm not letting some fucking slimeball journalist get an exclusive on my baby. Okay? I'm just not, I don't want my son to ever, like, feel like he was a secret. I just don't. So I was like, yo, fuck this. I'm gonna talk about it myself. And so I text Elon, I'm like, we need to chat, like, in person. And he's like, okay, cool. And so I go down to DC to talk to him. And I'm supposed to talk to him on the 13th. He, like, whatever, he's busy. And then I'm like, dude, the next morning after he, like, blows this off, I'm like, I am going to go public. I'm not letting them do this. We would prefer that this is with you and with your team, but none of you are responding. Like, they just keep reading the fucking messages, despite, like, always being responsive in the past. And meanwhile, like, mind you, I've watched him call fucking Rupert Murdoch to try to get pizzas killed, and he's just not being helpful whatsoever. Like, so I wait, and then I'm like, I don't have a choice. Like, I'm posting this. I'm not letting any fucking outlet have an exclusive on my baby. And so I post it. Now, on my original post in which I announced this, you can see so many within MAGA are like, congrats, this is wonderful, because they assumed that I had the blessing of their Lord and Savior, Elon, okay? very quickly, Elon, despite not responding to us about handling this in a way that was collaborative, starts responding to shit, calling me a gold digger, saying that I planned to baby trap him for a fucking decade, half a decade, whatever it was. And just going batshit crazy online, and still isn't responding to anything else from anyone on my team. And then right away, MAGA's like, oh shit, we fucked up. We didn't wait for his talking points. And things change. But I knew that was gonna happen. Like, there's so many people who are like, oh, she's only doing this pivot because MAGA threw her out. No, I knew the moment they knew that Elon was not pleased with my disobedience, that they were going to switch up. And I was ready to do that because I have to make what I believe is the right decisions for my family and my kids and, much larger things. Now, of course, I announced this on February 14th, which, unbeknownst to me, because I am in a state of postpartum and disarray, I did not realize this was Valentine's Day, okay? But many people did, and this was very fun for them to be like, the scorned woman on Valentine's Day, the baby mama drama, Valentine's Day drama. What the fuck? And, like, as crazy as everything was when it first came out, I also felt so relieved to just, like, have it off of my chest, to not worry about someone selling this secret, to have this secret. Like, it was just really, I think especially being postpartum, it was just so much. Something that was really crazy, I genuinely don't think, like, people understand, like, how many eyeballs were on Elon at this time, because even when I was giving birth at my hospital, the security at the hospital is like, we know there's a connection to Elon Musk. What? Like, it was constant. It was crazy because people would be like, oh, like, what's this young girl doing? And I would try lying to people. Like, there's a friend I had that we went to a basketball game, and, she had a young baby around the same age, and I was like, oh yeah, like, I just decided to have another kid, and, like, pretending like I just got some, like, sperm donor. It was just, I couldn't do it. Like, it was so hard to lie, and, like, people just had questions. Like, there's no way this was gonna stay private, and there's no way. There were so many people asking questions. There were so many people digging into my life, into his life. He decided to, like, dismantle the entire federal government. So, like, all eyes were on him. And also, like, again, during this time, I'd, like, just had a baby. I'm, like, at my circle at this point. It's like the Mar-a-Lago MAGA crowd, and I'm going to these events and I'm around these people even though I'm, like, uncomfortable. And then, like, Elon would show, like, he invaded what was, like, my social circle. Even though I was getting pretty sick of them, like, now all of a sudden he's everywhere, okay? Like, I cannot get away from him. He's in all the places I was. And then he starts bringing around Siobhan, which, okay, he had already told me, like, I should tell you, I technically live with Siobhan half the time. But now I'm, like, in this weird position where this woman is showing up to a place that I've been going for years, and, like, she thinks she's in some, like, monogamous relationship with you, and the young girl that you have a secret baby with is across the way. Like, it wasn't even, like, a jealousy thing. It was just fucking weird. Like, I did not like this situation. It was a lot to deal with, and I didn't want to deal with it. Like, it was just a lot and she was, like, taken aback, Siobhan, when all of this came out, because when I made my announcement, she started calling around, like, mutual friends of ours, and she was like, did you know about this? Like, she pretends to be all cool, calm, and collected, but I honestly think, actually, I'm not gonna say that. I don't know her, but, like, at first, I felt bad for her, but then I'm like, whatever, I'm gonna keep my mouth shut, but it was just all really, really uncomfortable. And again, like, at this point, I'm already, like, oscillating ideologically. Like, I'm just not comfortable with so much that I've seen. I'm, like, recognizing the immense impact that all of this has. And I know it sounds so stupid, but it really was, like, the first time that I realized, like, how impactful my own words were and my own actions. And I just wanted to do better for my kids. At that point, I'm, like, now a mom of 2. I'm like, is this like the moral legacy I want to leave for my kids, is being involved with these people? Like, no, I don't. And it just really, it's gonna take a lot longer than, like, just a year to deconstruct and unpack, like, why I made the poor decisions that I did. And to undo the harm, but I gotta start somewhere, I guess. And what I can tell you is the conversations I'm now having publicly are no different than the conversations I was having privately about the change in my views, the guilt I felt for being a part of certain things, and yeah. And also, like, his treatment of other people became more real to me once I had a child with him, because previously, like, obviously the trans issue and all of these other issues are, like, to me, just, like, political talking points, as fucked up as that is. And then once I had a child, I'm like, wait, like, this is, you know, the other child that he's talking shit about online, like, it just became a lot. I became, like, more curious about the other women's experiences. Like, I just felt a deep desire to connect with them because nobody else can relate to this situation and how crazy it is. And I don't know. I don't even know if any of this is going to make sense or if I'm going to post it, but... And simultaneously, Elon is a scary guy. Like, I felt so deeply for, like, what Claire Grimes was going through, because, again, I have an older son, and then Elon would be texting me, like, oh, you know, I won this in court, and it was just like, fuck, what have I done? What have I done? And I think it's difficult. There's a few things going on, like, within the public dialogue about me. One, there's so many people who have a right to be angry at me, and I'm not asking for forgiveness. These people don't owe me forgiveness, the communities that I've harmed. I am genuinely attempting to make amends, seeing what I can do, especially financial amends for the trans and POC communities that my rhetoric harmed. There's also this, like, phenomenon that for many, I'm going to be the only accessible figure they're ever going to have to release these frustrations over everything that's going on, and that's okay. Like, if I can be that for you guys, that's fine. And then there's just also people who are they're always gonna say, suck my dick. Okay, that's fine. And I'm not a perfect victim. I have so many flaws, and the best I can do, like, especially for my kids, is at least when they get access to the internet, I'm hoping that they can listen to and read me in my own words alongside everybody else. And, like, also, I don't look good in half of these stories that I'm telling you guys. Like, this is not, everyone's like, oh, it's a rebrand. I don't look good in half of this that I'm telling you. Like, I am telling you the most embarrassing shit of my life. Like, years ago, you could not waterboard this information out of me. I have a fantastic update about someone that I hate. A few weeks ago, I told you guys about my crazy MAGA influencer ex-boyfriend and his weird relationship with sitting member of Congress, Representative Anna Paulina Luna. I told you guys about their weird secret sleepovers that they had while I was dating this MAGA influencer ex, and that they had while I was out of town, though I will stipulate nothing happened because, guys, who hasn't been there? Who hasn't had a platonic secret sleepover that you keep from the significant other with someone you consider a brother while you're carpet bagging a district that you're moving to from Washington? Nonetheless, I'll digress. She is back in the headlines. She's back in the news. She's making the rounds, and she is pressing charges because something awful happened to her. She was assaulted by a 73-year-old little old lady. Now, as much as I hate my enemies and wish nothing but the absolute worst for them, I never hope anyone gets assaulted, so let's hear her out.
Senator Rubio on Code Pink, which is a foreign-funded organization, and I've been going after FARA, etc. And so as I was leaving, they were asking questions. I don't have an issue asking questions, but when you are berating me and trying to block me from being able to come vote, it's an issue. But I continued to answer them. I was walking out of Rayburn, and as we were trying to walk away from them, I guess they didn't like what I was saying, so one of the lead organizers actually smacked me.
That sounds really bad.
And so at that point, I broke contact.
Can you like reenact how you were hit?
Yeah, come on, Anna. Reenact it for us. Was it a maybe a shove? Come on, reenact it.
If just
I was literally walking, trying to walk away from this person, and they smacked me.
Oh, so she doesn't want to reenact it. Maybe it was just too traumatic.
In what part of the body?
They smacked my arm.
Smacked her. Are you injured right now?
I mean, look, either which way, you don't touch anyone, especially if you don't like what they're saying. You cannot physically harm someone. You can't hit them.
Hello? TMZ has the footage?
By the bill.
No, that hurts the people there. They have no power. You are
Get ready, guys. Here it comes. The smack.
misinformed.
Time you were in Cuba.
Whoa, okay.
Oh, it was like, I'm sorry.
It doesn't matter. You just touched me.
All right,
You're
I
going to
won't do
walk
that.
away right now, or else I'm going to call Capitol
Oh,
Police. Don't touch me.
I won't walk away. Bye-bye.
I guess now we know exactly why Anna did not want to reenact it, because she would have had to, with a straight face, show them, this is what happened to me. Little stupid ass bitch. Stupid ass bitch. She says that she's filing charges. She did file charges, at least tried to. She made a report. She is wasting police resources because a fucking little old lady tapped her in conversation. I really hope this doesn't hamper your ability to be vice president, because after all, you were going around telling everybody during the 2024 election that you were on the short list for VP. I don't know how I'm gonna recover from this. Steven Crowder. Steven Crowder has made a video in which he calls me a gold-digging whore, a grifter, and a communist. I don't know how I'm gonna recover from this. Seriously, Steven has dedicated an entire video on his YouTube channel. And for those unfamiliar, in case you enjoy your mental peace and you actually watch people who have a higher IQ than 12, you may not know who Steven Crowder is. He was quite popular in the conservative spaces many, many years ago. After the death of Charlie Kirk, he decided to carry the flame and tried doing campus tours to change people's mind and debate them.
Everyone told me that this, in today's climate, could not be done unless I took unbelievable precautions, unless it was absolutely kept a secret until mere hours before the event as a pop-up, unless I literally brought an army with me and bulletproofed the entire radius, which is exactly what we did. And so today, for the first time in many years, Change My Mind returns, and back to one of the places where it all began.
But it turns out you're not as hot after you abuse your wife. Anyways, Steven dedicates a video full of lies and whatever about me. But what I found fascinating was this entire video is based off an interview I did with the Ravina Report. And while these clips on TikTok have gone rather viral, he was referencing the full YouTube video, which was interesting to me because the full YouTube video only has about 1,000 views. So I was like, wow, how did Steven find this? And he addresses everything that I say in the video, obviously. He says that he disagrees with me on my pivot on the issue of trans youth and immigration and what have you, and that I'm just a comrade communist now. But the one thing he did not address, and seemingly the reason he found the video, was this clip.
I didn't say anything, but I didn't ignore it either. And I saw what they did to other women, too.
What was that?
Just the harassment, the abuse, the way they spoke about them, their refusal to hold men accountable, particularly like people like Steven Crowder was on video, like abusing his wife.
Yes.
And screaming at her. And then it was her who was attacked. And by the way, through the grapevine, apparently Steven Crowder is dating his illegal immigrant nanny while he talks about immigration all day, and has replaced all the photos in their house of his children's mother with this nanny.
My God, where did you hear this?
Through sources close to the matter. They're all so broken, they have no sense of identity, and they're all coping in different ways.
Steven also says that I can't debate and I'm just a whore who puts my tits out and holds up signs and I have no debate skills.
You know, she's not able to debate. She just found a niche. When you say grifter, I mean, her picture is next to the definition. Here she is now enlightened about transgenderism, but listen to the rest of the language. She's very, very anti-capitalist.
Steven, I will debate you any day of the week on what a shit husband and father you were to your ex-wife Hillary, which, by the way, just for funsies, here's a 3-minute long video of you abusing her before you tell her, your 8-month pregnant wife, mind you, that you will, quote, fuck her up.
Because I drew a boundary. I drew a boundary. No, you just did it. I drew a boundary in abusive and cruel. You were not taking the car. Because if you refuse to do wifely things, then I will go pick up the groceries.
There's no groceries. I do have
Steaks, wood pellets, my grill. I know it's an unreasonable request, but I'll go do it. How about you first? Hillary, how do you respect the man? Yes, how do you man? How do you man receive love and respect?
respect.
No. How do you man? No, you're not taking the car.
Steven,
You're not taking the car.
Steven,
You are not.
then I will ask someone to pick me up. What would you like me to ask?
Oh, that's right.
It's not about Steven.
Get an Uber.
Okay, Steven, I can't.
Feeling some constraints?
Steven.
Like, I can't
Steven.
go. Listen to me. You want to walk out right now? Listen to me. I can't go to the gym. I can't go to my parents. I can't call my friends. I can't be home. You're going to take the car and leave me here. Hillary, just think of how boxed in you've made me.
What do you need me to pick up? I'll get it. I'll be back when I'm back.
No, that doesn't work either. You'll be back when you're back. That doesn't work either.
Steven,
Do you understand the difference between my life being set to the second and you going, I'll be back when I'm back?
Steven.
And making it work. The only way out of this is discipline and respect. It's the only way out of it, or we're at an impasse.
We are at an impasse.
Good. Because you can't have any discipline and respect.
Steven.
Yeah. There you go. You throw your hand, you give up so easily.
I don't give up, Steven.
Hillary,
Steven?
you give up so easily.
I'm
I just said the only way out of this is discipline and respect. You said, then we're at an impasse.
Steven, no, we are at an impasse, okay? I love you, but Steven, your abuse is sick. Your abuse
Watch it.
is sick.
Watch it. Fucking watch it.
I'm gonna let go. I'll get what you need me to get. And I need some space. We need to just stop engaging for a little bit, okay? I love you. I love you very much.
I don't love you. That's the big problem. I've never received love from you. And the fact is, when I go, look, I need you to do A, B, C, and D, you just be disciplined about it, you go, no. But I love you more than life itself. Okay. Put on some gloves. No. But I love you more than life itself. That's not fair. That's not fair, and it's disingenuous. Hillary, you're right, we're at an impasse. Become someone, listen to me, day in and day out, worthy of a wife, no, not as a wife. I didn't say as a wife. Hillary, come on now.
I'm not gonna engage. I'm not gonna engage anymore. I'm gonna go. I'll get text me what you need. I'll get you what you need. I love you. I'm committed to you.
Put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm not gonna.
Are you committed enough to do those things? You're not committed to anything. You're not committed to anything. You just said I love you, I'm committed to you. Walk the dogs, put on some gloves. Walk the dogs, put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to do those things? Are you committed enough to do those things? Are you committed enough to do those things?
I'm gonna just
walk the dogs, put on some gloves. Are you committed enough to get the medication the dogs take? No, you take Betty.
I'm Ashley St. Clair, and I approve this message.
Get ready with me while I talk more about Elon's Twitter takeover, the evolution within MAGA at this point, and start getting into the 2024 election. For those who don't know, my name is Ashley St. Clair, and I was a MAGA influencer involved in MAGA politics for almost a decade. I know. Now, the year is 2023, and Elon Musk had followed me, slid into my DMs, and shortly after that, I meet him on a job I'm doing, and then I'm on his plane, whatever. I feel like I should preface this by saying I feel like some of my recounting at times can be like more flippant or favorable to myself just because everything that has happened has been so awful and like disproportionate to my involvement that I don't know, sometimes whatever, but I'm gonna preface this. Again, also, I am going to be speaking about things in terms of the pathology in the current moment, not any of my opinions or beliefs right now. So in 2023, I am still very enmeshed in the MAGA cult, right? Simultaneously, there was like a little bit of a warring factions going on amongst MAGA and the right wing, especially going into early 2024. You have like the Ron DeSantis crowd and the Trump MAGA crowd, and they're like going at each other. Now, when Elon starts dipping his toes into right-wing slop, myself and a few other members of the MAGA cult kind of view this as a new leader has arisen for the dying MAGA faction. And so Elon is also an opportunity to revive MAGA in a sense. Now, after I meet Elon, I am just like full pick-me crush mode. I'm like, wow, he's so funny and interesting and smart and like he likes me. Okay, so like, and something about me, at least before this entire god-awful situation, I am guilty of a diagnosable level of pick-meism when it comes to my relationships with men, okay? When I was dating an Air Force pilot, all of a sudden I knew everything there was to know about planes, and I am an expert on old fashions and Macallans, okay? I unfortunately had a pesky habit of just like absorbing the personalities and interests of any man that I was interested in and reciprocated the attention. All right. I don't know if you guys have seen that meme where it's like me at the horniest I've ever been. How does this game work? That was me, okay? I'm like asking this man about Diablo. When I start getting involved with Elon and having these private conversations with him, it is like I'm being reprogrammed. You know, I'm talking about MAGA shit, and he's like, the top problem facing civilization is the birth rate. And I'm like, yes, of course it is. I will now tweet about the birth rates. And I hate myself. Also, it was like very quickly that I started getting involved like very personally with him. he had like a surgery on his shoulder in New York, and then all of a sudden I'm like helping take care of him there, and I'm meeting his mother, and like it was a lot, okay? And he's like pillow talking about his like childhood trauma and his feelings about his mom and his dad, and like I don't know, it felt very emotionally intimate, if you will. He's like sending me pictures of his kids at the pumpkin patch, like all this shit, okay? He's like, he's chatting me up. It's not, to me, it's like not any different than like a regular, I don't know. Also in 2023, it is very clear that he wants to be involved in the election because of several investigations going on into him. He basically tells me that the Biden admin has all these investigations into him, like at least half a dozen of significance and a bunch of other smaller ones, and like says that oil and gas wants to kill him. I don't know. Okay, so to me, I'm like, whoa, like they want to take down the new savior. This is all political, you know? He is like, I think, more favorable to the temperament of Ron DeSantis, and just from a practical point of view, I'm like, bro, that meatball ain't never gonna win, okay? He's got the charisma of a fucking chicken biscuit. Good luck with that. And very quickly, he sets his sights on Donald Trump. Far before Butler, when he decides to announce that he's supporting Trump, that man was already supporting Trump. I don't know, it was just very, intoxicating. You're like secretly running around with the richest man in the world, and we're changing the world, and you know, we're gonna save MAGA. Because I'm still in this cult where I believe like the only way to save Western civilization is if we stop Joe Biden. And again, let me remind you, at this point, the Dems, the only person they have up there is that corpse. Like, and I would prefer Joe Biden governance to what the hell is happening now. But like from an optics standpoint, they had a corpse up there. That was their only option until much, much later. So I am just like full-blown brainwashed. I have fixated on a new cult leader in Elon Musk because I don't know, for some reason I just have a proclivity for cults, and I don't know. I'm like, let's save Western civilization. And because like Elon is interacting with me so publicly, like again, this is like not only opening up opportunities, but now people are validating me. Like, oh, the work that I've always been doing, now it's great. Look at how brilliant and smart she is, because he's like given me this sense of legitimacy, at least among MAGA, okay? And again, this is like very harmful for me to be in this loop, so I just like double, triple down on all of the harmful things I was saying. Any deconstruction I was having and like bitterness I was having towards MAGA and their rhetoric and their cruelty, this was like completely undone once Elon enters the picture, because I'm like, I was right the whole time. At the same time, I'm also becoming aware of like just the immense level of power that he has. Like at one point there was someone at Twitter, an employee that like he deemed was a snake in the grass, and I believe they were in Ireland. And he basically told me, we're talking about this, and he tells me, well, you know what, like we're gonna send the Tesla investigators to basically take his computer and see what's up, because my Tesla investigators are better than the FBI. There's also like Wall Street Journal hit pieces and other hit pieces that are like being written on him, and I'm watching him quite literally call Rupert Murdoch and like call all of the subjects of these hit pieces and try to offer them things and get them to sign affidavits. Like, I'm just becoming a witness to some crazy shit, okay? There's also just things that I'm witnessing that are like weird. Like Larry Ellison really liked Tim Scott. I think it was Tim Scott for VP, and according to Elon, at one point Larry Ellison was writing for Tim Scott, like writing speeches for him. I don't know. So I'm getting like swept up into like realizing that so many of the uber wealthy and powerful are like secret Republicans. And at the same time, I would be remiss to say that it wasn't like incredibly interesting. You know, like he's telling me about the time he met Scarlett Johansson and Ryan Reynolds when he was filming Iron Man, and all of these stories about these different people, and Jeff Bezos and his ex-wife. And at 24, 25, like that was cool to me. What's also becoming abundantly clear to me, though, is that there's like a disconnect between the perception of him by the public and what he's putting out there and how he actually lives his life, right? Like the first time I went over to his house, I'm expecting like, you know, the tiny house, because that's what everyone thinks he lives in. No, this is like a fucking McMansion with an elevator in the house, and then there's every place I've ever been with him is like uber luxurious. There's not, I'm like, is this like frugality? Is this like, what's happening here? There's a disconnect. There are several times that he tells me that I should have more kids, that I'm a great mom, that, you know, my older son is awesome. And it's just kind of this thing that's like mentioned often, but there's never really a serious conversation about it until January of 2024, like New Year's, but we will get there. So, and at this time, again, I had received so much hate from the right wing for being a single mom, and I love being a mom. Like, I'm so proud of being a mom and the mom that I am, and so this, again, was just really validating to have like this older successful guy who's like, you're an amazing mom and you should have more kids, yada yada. He's also involving me more with like individuals from his companies. Like at one point he connects me with some of the engineers at Twitter X to adjust and work on the For You page and the For You algorithm, which the shit I saw and heard from these engineers, man, that's like a whole other video in itself. He also tells me, you know, maybe you should work at X and help, in his words, help recruit other aces. Like he's trying to get me to work at his company. And I'm like, no. Cause for me, I'm like, this is fun, but I ain't signing no contract with a man. I also didn't want to work at his companies and then if anything ever came out, like have people say like I only got to where I was because of, you know, Elon, or like sleeping my way to the top. Like I was very cognizant of how that would be perceived, and I know I've caused a lot of harm, but I have always been a very ambitious person and a hard worker. Like all of my bosses, even if they hate me, they can never say I was not a hard worker. Like I always took a lot of pride in my work, even if the work was very harmful in retrospect, but I really like working. And then there were several times that, you know, we were together and he would tweet out, you know, the jokes I would make like next to him. And so it was, I'm like, oh my God, he really likes me. He thinks I'm witty and funny and smart. You know, he thinks I'm so smart and witty that he's sharing this with 200 million people. At the same time, I am now starting to feel like an international super spy, okay? Because I am helping him with certain situations going on in Brazil, talking to the Brazilian members of Congress when they're trying to ban like X and Starlink. I don't know. I'm like helping. He's like texting me that he needs help destroying Media Matters. Any help is like appreciated. And so like I feel like I'm being given missions at this point. I feel cool as fuck. He's also using myself and other influencers to like put out Oppo, and get dirt on people he hates, like Sam Altman. I mean, I cannot begin to express to you how much he talked about Sam Altman. Like, he would be laying in bed and talking about Sam Altman. He would be like, Sam just runs around San Francisco having gay orgies. Why are you talking about what Sam Altman's sex life is like in San Francisco? Like, what are we doing here? And he would be very upset that OpenAI was apparently, according to him, like offering Tesla people more money than he could offer them, and it was just like constant. And he would send me posts or, you know, articles to things that he wanted boosted, like, you know, framing Sam for murder or that kind of stuff, you know, just casual. There was also the Don Lemon incident. Like, he got mad at Don Lemon, and then the executives at X were then like leaking me confidential information about their like alleged contract negotiations with Don Lemon, and having me and other influencers put this out there like to smear Don. And I know this is going to sound crazy, but just you, at least I, at that time on the internet, like, you are so disconnected from the consequences of your actions, and like nothing feels real. Like, I did not stop to consider like the actual implications of any of this, that there were real people at the other end getting hurt, and that's why I try not to, like, I don't know, like, cry too much about the things that have happened to me, because I think, like, in the back of my head, like, I feel like I deserve them. Like, it's my penance for being such an unempathetic piece of shit, and like engaging and helping these individuals with their cruelty. Like, as I've said before, the cruelty only happened to me because of the cruelty I ignored to others. And I will reiterate that to me, it didn't, in the moment, it didn't feel like cruelty, because these people are painted as like threats to democracy. We see this now, right? The DOJ is going after Don Lemon, which sounds insane, but like, this is genuinely, when you're in that cult, when you're in that mindset, you genuinely believe, you're like, yes, the worst thing for Western civilization is Don Lemon. I feel stupid. I feel ashamed of myself. I feel used. I feel naive. Like, there's so many emotions that come up when I talk about this, and I haven't spoken about it for years. Like, I've never spoken about any of this until right now. Oh, one other thing I will note is, because Elon at this time is getting so enmeshed, like, in the MAGA circles and being hailed as this warrior of free speech and taking on the radical Dems, I'm not getting any other opinions. Like, I am strictly enmeshed in Elon's sycophancy.
We need to talk about this Henry case in Europe that is the right wing is using to justify being racist again. So, if you're not familiar, this young white kid, he was like attacked. I don't know, something happened, and he like called the police, and then the person who was attacking him, I think he was Sikh, and he ends up convincing the police that the kid like hate crimed him, and then the police did nothing, and so the kid ended up dying. Now the right wing has taken this to be like, look, because they want white kids to die, this is an attack on white men and white boys. No, bro, this is because some police officers are fucking stupid. Okay, this has been happening. Not a single woman is surprised by this, because this happens to women all the time. It was not very long ago that women who were beat by their husbands, they couldn't call the police, and if they did, the police would just turn around. And need I remind you, this also happened to the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, right? Let's remember that. One of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims escaped, runs away, gets to the police, and then Jeffrey is able to convince them that it was just a gay lover's quarrel, and the police were like, oh, sounds good to me, and the kid, like, the guy ended up in a fucking freezer or whatever, okay? But now the right wing is trying to use this Henry case. It's like, they're trying to kill white people. We don't have to be ruled by savages. And what they mean by savages, by the way, is just brown people because they're fucking racist. But even if we were to stipulate to that, right, that these other non-Eurocentric cultures are savages and barbaric because you guys want to highlight, like, the OG forms of violence, what have you gotten by not being ruled by savages? Okay, you think you're not ruled by savages? Instead of being ruled by savages, now you're ruled by the superior Westerners and Eurocentric men who gave you fucking nukes and evil AI robots that might fucking blow up everything. And they're saying this. They're like, yeah, AI could kill us all, but we don't want to be ruled by savages. Right? We don't want to be ruled by savages. Well, instead, let's be ruled by white innovation. That'll do it. Yeah, let's be ruled by the people who might end the species being as we know it. Let's be ruled by the people who are so cynical about our inability to blow fucking everything up on Earth that they're trying to fuck off to other planets. Okay? That's what that got you. Congrats, you're not ruled by savages. These fucking people might blow us all up. And I just know some idiot right-winger who pretends to hate me but can't stop watching me is going to clip this and be like, what do you mean? What have you gotten by not being ruled by savages? All of the comfort and safety you have right now is because of, not being ruled by savages. Okay, what we did was we traded a few generations enjoying comfort, a level of comfort that has never been enjoyed throughout all of humanity, this access and this comfort that we all enjoy right now in the West, we traded that for potentially ending all of fucking humanity as we know it. Okay? So yeah, at this point, I think I might want to go back to, like, OG humanity and being ruled by the people that you have deemed as savages, because the other option is getting blown up by your fucking evil robots that you're telling us we have to build because you and China are in a fucking race to blow us all up.